Rob here from the Flanagan Homestead. Today's video is not about how-to, but a lot of times you see a video of someone and they're showing you that they're an expert on something. This is something that I am new at. I'm using landscape fabric or garden fabric for the first time in the garden. I've gardened for years and years and years and done wood chips or just done the normal till up your garden and plant and weed. We're putting down some fabric in at the school, and I'm just going to show you the growing process or the growth process of learning how to use this and some of the things that might come up as a new user. So if you're experimenting using this, you might see some of the challenges that we're being faced with and avoid those. And if you're a long-time user of garden fabric or landscape fabric in your garden and you have some suggestions for us, let me know. All right, we're putting down the landscape fabric right now. Half the garden is going to be covered in this to keep the weeds down. We're probably going to grow larger plants like pumpkins, cucumbers, vines that are going to run all over the place. And the rest of the class is over here working on staking out their rows, which will be covered in wood chips. And we're going to see how well we can keep the weeds down this year. So we put the landscape fabric down. We had the ground all tilled up. One of the first issues that we had is this is a very windy area, and we put a lot of the staples in and stakes, and then the landscape fabric was often blown up and across the rest of our garden, which was not a good situation. So you could probably see right now we have staples in it, but we have different stakes, we have sprinklers, we have bags of compost, just different things holding it down. I think as the plants grow up, we've had zucchini and squash sticking and pumpkins. As those vines grow up and hold it down, it'll be better. As the ground compacts more, it'll be better. And we're having the students put more and more staples in. But one of the issues that we had is we had this laid out beautifully. It looked amazing, flat and everything, and then wind picked it up and threw it across the garden. And we've been putting it back, and it's not as nice as it once was. But I think we've got it staked down now. But wind is a serious issue before the garden or before the plants get established. One of the other questions I had, and a lot of people have, is does it actually let moisture through? And so we had sprinklers on this morning. I'm going to pull back a section here, and you can see we actually put plenty of water down, but you can see wet sections and dry sections. And these dry sections are mostly where there was a rise in the hill or the fabric was lifted up. So water, after the sprinkler was done running, there was no puddles on it. It went through, but it does slow down the water enough that if the ground is mounted up, the water is going to run down to the lower spot and then soak through there. So I think there's going to be significant moisture in most of this soil, and even this dry spot, you dig down, there's moisture in it. But if the fabric isn't flat, the moisture is going to go to the lower spot and seep through there. So we're going to try to make sure our plants are low enough without drowning them to make sure that water comes towards them and goes in. One of the other things we got to do is get holes in it. We cut the holes for the potatoes to be in it, and bringing the torch around to singe the edges so that it doesn't unweave. We're doing that. I've had a hard time, this is my first day doing it, I've had a hard time getting the right temperature for different things. I blew one hole in there, so you probably should have a practice area. This wind is not helping either. But we were punching holes for lettuce, and I found if you let the metal get really hot and then turn the torch down as low as possible, you could punch a reasonably clean hole there. That one wasn't very nice. Let's see if we can get a better one. So this creates somewhat clean holes to put our plants in. This is definitely a technique that I'm going to have to get better on, but it's promising, but I'll have to get the right calibration on everything. Another issue that we may have that I'm not used to, having used wood chips and just weeding and not having a garden fabric before, is, you know, we've tilled up this entire thing, we put down the fabric flat, and then we punched some holes, in this case for a tomato, and we put it in there. We wanted the holes small so that there's not a lot of weeds, but now when it comes time to add fertilizer to this specific spot, what's the best way to do that? You know, obviously I could put it right in the little hole, but we want the roots to spread out and for a strong plant. So if I put fertilizer on the fabric itself, will it go through? Will it dissolve and go through? Do I need to lift up and spread it out a little bit before the plants get too large? This is something for a long-time gardener, first-time garden fabric user person to figure out. Let me know what you know. Thanks for joining me on the Flanagan Homestead, where Christmas trees are my business, teaching, including horticulture, is my job, and outdoor projects are my passion. We'd love to, if you like, subscribe and share ideas with us. Thanks for joining us today.